Welcome to AKHAND Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. AKHAND RISHI, integration of two divine souls. Divyank, the walking, talking encyclopedia. My mission, the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is perfectly known. My greatest discovery, Divyank, the divine design of nature with which the perfect objects are designed and created. Divyank is the reward of 60 years of integrated education. AKHAND RISHI. As I have told in the beginning, concept of two souls which originally originates from Katha Upanishads, which is also finds its relationship or representation in Gita Upadesh also. This picture of Gita Upadesh is well known to almost everything, but this picture shows about 5 horses, not the 4 horses which you see in most of the pictures which are available. I am of the opinion that Katha Upanishad talks about 5 horses, not 4 horses. Now let's understand this concept very, very clearly, step by step. The chariot represents a physical human body made of 100 trillion cells. Let's call that quote unquote Jivatma. Integrated human body like everybody else, whether they are in spirituality or not, there is a separate entity as Jivatma. Consciousness of 100 trillion cells put together in a uniform form, let's call it Jivatma, and for it to be perfectly healthy, it has to take care of every aspect of the human body, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and psychology. 5 horses represent the 5 senses or Indriya, and they are the one which are our windows to the external world, and we perceive the external world with the 5 senses. But actually there are 10 senses, because 5 gross with which we see the external world and 5 subtle with which we see the higher manifestations of spiritual world. So in other words, there are 10 senses, and there are 5 horses are controlled by 10 reins or 5 pairs of this by Lord Krishna. And what do they mean? The 10 reins mean mind, fluctuating, manas. Indriya is followed by manas, the mind, and that is followed by intellect or buddhi, and that is followed by intuition or mahat. This is a sequence: Indriya to the manas to buddhi, mahat, and then is finally controlled by Atma, which is the seer of all the scenes and everything. Cognizer, cognized, and everything is Atma. Atma control. Once Atma, intuition, buddhi, mind, and indriya work as one unit, only then you get totally integrated with the body as well as soul. So from that point of view, I think it's very clear that chariot is a Jivatma, horses are the senses, and reins are the mind, buddhi, and intellect. And then you have 2, Arjuna and Lord Krishna sitting. So Arjuna, I would say, represents indwelling human soul, which is made of helium. So Arjuna had that particular soul totally realized. As a result, he could focus on whatever thing 100%. It is the extra self-realization of his self was done by Arjuna very clearly. As a result, Jesus, Jivatma and Antaratma were in tune with each other. As a result, he could do wonders in life. And that is what self-realization is. But Katha Upanishad goes one step further. It talks of the second soul within the body, which is silent spectator. He doesn't enjoy the fruits of this. He's just a witness, but is self-realized, blissful all the time. And that I would call it Paramatma. So one essence which comes out of this particular picture and Katha Upanishad is that there are 3 different levels of consciousness. Jivatma, the physicalized body; Antaratma, the indwelling soul, which I would call it helium-4; then Paramatma, or the divine soul, which I could relate it with Neon 21. And this concept is spoken by Lord Krishna in Gita 2. that he is also Jivatma, he is a Paramatma, he is Purusha in Mahapurusha, and all the three things are there. So, three soul concept which originates from Gita. I have tried to put it as a Treta philosophy. Jivatma, Antaratma, Paramatma put together, when they become one, you are one with tuned with it. As a result, every aspect of the nature is completely known to you. And AKHAND, totally integrated person, I would call it AKHAND RISHI, with the help of AKHAND Yoga and AKHAND Sutra thing. So I think from this point of view, this picture is very clear, significant, how deep rooted spiritual science wisdom is there in this, and I try to bring it out. And I'm sure all of us, if you can understand that, you can make optimum of this picture to make optimum view of the spiritual world at the same time. Let's understand it clearly. Now, normally, all of us are externalized to the world. We are looking at external world with 5 extended sheaths, and what has been recognized and which is projected by every yoga teacher is that you have Annamaya Kosh, which is the physicalized human body, as you can see right in the middle, and it is surrounded by Pranamaya Kosh, the bioplasmic body, which is full of emotions. Then it is surrounded by Manomaya Kosh, which is the mind. Then it is surrounded by Vijnanamaya Kosh, which is Buddhi or intellect. And it is surrounded by Anandamaya Kosh, which is blissful body, or you can call it intuition or Satchitanand. But these are external things with which we are trying to see. But such person whose consciousness externalized, Bharang, cannot really call that he or she is fully self-realized. So let's start from that. This is one, it is done. Now let's go next stage. But Taittiriya Upanishad says there are 6 sheaths and soul is within the 6 sheaths. But in this case, is Annamaya Kosh is the externalized. Within Annamaya Kosh is the Pranamaya Kosh. Within the Pranamaya Kosh is Manomaya Kosh. Within Manomaya Kosh is Vijnanamaya Kosh, and within Vijnanamaya Kosh is Anandamaya Kosh, and then there is Guhyam, and there is Now let's try to understand the sequence. Physicalized body, as we know, is Annamaya Kosh, and it has got sensors, sensory reflexes, and then skin sensors or receptors can sense the organism and then take the information through the nerve, Indriya, to the mind, and from behind the mind is intellect, behind the intellect intuition, and then Atma goes into Guhyam. It talks about Guhyam. That means there is a cave within the physicalized body, and within the cave there is Atma. Now it's very interesting. At this juncture, let's leave with a particular theoretical knowledge. Taittiriya Upanishad says like this. Katha Upanishad talks about that. And now we will explore this further little later. But AKHAND RISHI's case, it is the other way around. Annamaya Kosh is externalized, as I told Taittiriya Upanishad, then within that is Pranamaya Kosh, within that is Manomaya Kosh, Vijnana is Kosh, then Anandamaya Kosh, then Guhyam is the cave, and within the Antaratma. That means all these particular Taittiriya Upanishad is talking about externalized consciousness is brought internal. So Atma is, once this particular thing is in tune with Antaratma, indwelling soul, which is residing within the central canal of the nerve spinal cord and the ventricle, which I have spoken many times even before. You internalize is this. So same thing based on Taittiriya Upanishads. This is experience of self-realization, which Taittiriya Upanishad talks about it. I think it's been, but have added something and right on top. That means when you have self-realized, you can also be in tune with the Paramatma by having neon 21 perception within that, and as a result you can be in tune with Akash Kosh or even higher aspects of consciousness. I think this picture is my creation, my experience. I've tried to say And when this integration takes place of Jivatma, Antaratma and Paramatma within the physicalized body, then you are in tune with universal consciousness center. And I have shown in my EEG, I can produce 8 hertz. Akash Kosh is also around 8 hertz. And I think from that point of view, this makes scientific sense, and this is what spiritual science is all about. Now let's go to the next stage. To explain the whole concept, which I have explained in Katha Upanishad and Taittiriya Upanishad and AKHAND RISHI, last video I talked about skin receptors, which receive information from the external world, and how the information through different receptors, as we have seen, we have understood in that, is carried information through the ascending tract from skin receptors to the dorsal root ganglion into spinal cord. So I think skin receptor, this association with that, and then ascending to the brain on one side, or up to that, is something which I have already explained earlier. Behind the sensors, you have these nerves, and this picture I'm showing again how sensory receptors in the skin get touch information, how it is carried through the nerves to the spinal cord. So I think it's a replication of that. This is a sequence which has to be understood. Physicalized body, 100 trillion cells is Jivatma, and it gets information through receptors in the skin, and then this information is carried through 10 stages of neurons to the spinal cord. Spinal cord and brain are the part of the central nervous system, which is there to evaluate sensory information, find what it stands, and then take the remedial actions or appropriate actions to get integration by and large. I think from that angle, let's go to the next one. Now here you can see, I've given the picture of spinal cord. Information from skin receptors through nerve come to the dorsal root ganglion and enter. And spinal cord is again has 6 different parts. The spinal cord is located within vertebral column as a protection, but it is surrounded first by dura mater, which is the first layer outside the spinal cord. You can call it that first layer, could call it animecush. Within that you have a pia mater is another layer, and between these 2 layers you have subdural space which contains cerebrospinal fluid, and that can be associated with Vahani Nadi. Dura mater, Vahani Nadi and pia mater are 3 sheaths outside to a solid, one is water, and within that even Satchak report talks about white matter or Surya Nadi. And then you have Chandra Nadi as grey matter, as you can see in this particular picture. You can see all those things closing. And within that you have a central canal, you can see the round with blue color. And that is central canal which has the spinal fluid. If Atma is expected, according to Taittiriya Upanishad, should reside in central canals. And AKHAND Sutra says it should reach central canal by breaking Brahma Granthi and then rise to ventricles of the third ventricle of the brain and enlighten everything from the inside. Then you are totally in tune with yourself, to the indwelling consciousness or Antaratma as well as Paramatma, because you have soul within your own hand, and using this to integrate whole thing and then be in tune with. So the prime objective of indwelling human soul, the Antaratma or Kundalini, is to integrate the entire physicalized body of Jivatma into one, prepare it to be in tune with universal consciousness. I think all these pictures make it very clear. Skin is the outermost part of our body. It perceives the external information. Through the nerves is carried to the spinal cords, and spinal cord you have 5-6 layers, as Taittiriya Upanishad talks about it. You call it coincidence or it is divine will. those rishis knew very well from their spiritual experience that there are 5-6 layers inside, not outside. Unless until you go inside, you cannot have self-realization, you cannot internalize, you cannot be in tune with that. As long as you are an outside, you will be only wandering here and there. But to reach the highest level, you got to internalize. Your Antaratma or Kundalini has to go to the central canal, Brahmanadi, and then rise to Vaikuntha, ventricles, integrate the entire nervous system and all the 100 trillion cells. Then you are truly spiritually integrated with that. Now I'm sure it's very clear that the beauty of Katha Upanishad and Taittiriya Upanishad is very clear with a scientific thing that they were, even Satchakra and Nirguna also talks of the same thing. And if this is the reality, then only way. Now let's take it to the next picture. This picture you are very familiar with. And here, let me tell you, entire thing externalized, you can see, with Ad, Ida, Pingla, Sushumna and other thing, and all the 10 chakras in that is externalized consciousness. Then when Kundalini, which is supposed to sleep in Muladhara chakra at the bottom, is able to break Brahma Granthi at the bottom and get inside the central canal, or the staff as Hermes on one side, or Sushumna Nadi, and then within the Sushumna Nadi, you have Vahani Nadi, and then you have Surya Nadi, Chandran Nadi, and Brahman Nadi. Now you see how the information is coming. So unless until we can bring the consciousness from external world to internal world to right up to this level and take it inside, you cannot be truly be in tune with yourself. But here, in this picture, you can see this. Normally, Antaratma or Kundalini is supposed to sleep in Muladhara chakra, and from that right at the bottom, you have Brahma Granthi. You break that and get into Brahmanadi, which is the central canal in that, and then raise its consciousness. Now you see that Atma, which is supposed to sleep in Muladhara at the bottom, is seen as a blue thing within the brain, and that is the ventricles of the brain. Now you see, the ventricles of the brain, third ventricle, if Atma is able to enter into central canal and reach up to that, and there, from there it can enlighten the entire world, integrate the whole thing. It has gone beyond the senses. Now you see the wings. They represent mind, thinking brain. So that means it has to go beyond Indriya, beyond mind, beyond intellect, because cortex is supposed to analyze things in the light of sciences, and that is buddhi. Then get intuitive only when it goes there. But after that, I have also shown something right on top of that. See, brain is shown where the Atma is, and then you see that right on top is another thing which represents Divyank, which also represents Neon 21, is on top of the head, and that is Turiya state. If this we can realize within self, then we can be in tune with universe consciousness much easily, much better otherwise. Now I'm sure the real beauty of Katha Upanishad, that second soul, and then soul is the first soul in the ventricles or Vaikuntha, and another Paramatma on top, from where it is controlling the entire this body as well, that it becomes. Now this particular concept has been beautifully explained in Brahma Sutra, where Antaratma is called an immortal bridge, Amrita Setu, between Jivatma and Paramatma. I am sure that wisdom of AKHAND Brahma Sutra, where Antaratma is a bridge between Jivatma and Paramatma, is very clearly shown in this particular thing. And when someone is able to see Jivatma, Antaratma, Prakriti, all the three, and I would call, if such a person should be named as AKHAND RISHI, because he has actually understood almost every aspect or three aspects of Atma. Katha Upanishad talks about two higher ones. One, Jivatma. So I think at this juncture there should not be any doubt in the mind of everything. how beautiful are our Upanishads, how beautiful the ancient scriptures, how beautifully they had cryptically explained things, but unfortunately it was not explained earlier. Maybe because of my medical background and the much more elaborate scientific knowledge with the help of sophisticated equipment, with the radio technology and other technologies, I am able to comprehend better and explain things step by step with the kind of evidence which is required today to create a new document called spiritual science, so that people by and large understand science and spirituality are two sides of the same coin. In the process, science would also benefit and spirituality could also benefit, and that is the objective of Akhand Vidyashram, to bring impeccable wisdom with the kind of experience, with the conviction, with the scientific evidence which cannot be denied by anyone who understands maths, physics, chemistry, biology, human anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and all the sophisticated neurosciences in detail, including histology based on compound microscope or electronic microscope. Everything is given so much of information, and for us to now represent in a holistic way is not that very difficult. Now I have done my bit. I'm sure others can take it to the next stage and make it even better. Anyway, thank you very much for kind listening and encouraging me. I'm really enjoying doing it.